Okay, so here we are with part 2 of week 3 of MC410. So the last things we have to look at from the subjects we covered in this week are quantization. The first thing I want to show you is using input quantize. So with input quantize turned on, everything that I play with the keyboard will be quantized when it's recorded in, which means that the notes will actually be moved according to the quantized value that I have set. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another new track. So make a new track, stereo and instrument track, and I'm going to make that be called bass, and I'm going to go to the mixer and put in expand 2 again, and I'm going to go to the bass sounds. Let's see, synth basses, scroll down here, let's use this one. Okay, so got a nice little bass sound there. Now if I go up to event, now this event menu is where we do functions relating to the notes that we've actually put in. So this is where you would find quantize, changing the velocity, transpose, stuff like that. So if I drop this down, we've got event operations here, which is where we want to look, and we have all these various things here, quite a few of which you might use quite often. And what we want to do is go to input quantize. So I click on that and we get this menu in the middle. Now this event operations menu is the same sort of look for all of the different event operations, and actually once you bring it up you can select all of those different ones there as well. So obviously the ones that you would use quite a lot would be quantize and change velocity and transpose, that kind of stuff. Okay, but we want input quantize at the moment, so we need to turn it on. So this is where input quantize is turned on. Obviously you have to remember that you've turned it on, because if you don't remember and you are recording other parts, you're going to be wondering why everything that you record is snapped to the grid. So we've got that turned on, and it's only going to quantize the note on, which is where the note starts, and we're going to preserve the note duration. You can turn that off, so it will quantize the lengths of the notes depending on the grid you've got selected, but we're just going to leave it like this for now. There's various other options down here, we don't need to worry about that at the moment. I'm just going to close expand 2 there. So now if I go back to the edit window, and I'm going to put my bass track into record, and I've got the wait for note on as well, so I'm going to go into record and it will start recording as soon as I play a note. Okay, so I recorded my part there. I'm just going to take this window away for now. And if we look in the MIDI edit window, so remember I can turn the various tracks on and off using these spots. So this is my bass part that I've just recorded, and as you can see, everything is snapped to the grid. The start of each note is snapped dead on to the grid. So when you're sort of getting rough ideas down using the keyboard, this can be really handy just to keep everything tight as you do it. By no means would you necessarily always want to have input quantize on, because you know sometimes you need some feel, but for something like this I've just got program drum machine, I'm just trying to do a little bass line, it works perfectly. Okay, and while I'm here I'm just going to take that last note down. Okay, so there's a little bass line I've recorded in using input quantize, and it's all completely locked in. Now, obviously, the traditional way of sort of using quantize would be if we go to event operations and input quantize, we'll turn that off, and I'm just going to delete that part that I just recorded, and I'm going to do the same again, just go into record and play it in manually. So I've played that all in manually, and obviously if we look, well, I played the wrong note there by accident, but you can see everything is way off the grid, okay, which at the moment we've got set to 16ths. So when I play it back, so you can hear that, you know, a human being has played that, and it's not all locked to the grid. So what I can do now is in the event operations window, or I just go event operations quantize, or there is a shortcut for it, which is Alt and 0 on the numeric keypad. And so whatever I've got selected, I just click apply, and then it quantizes it to the grid that I've selected here, which is 16th note. Okay. And as you can see, one of the notes I played was so out of time that quantize has actually put it on the wrong slice of the grid. But now that should be fine. Okay, so that's the second way of doing quantize, but there is a third as well. Now I'm going to undo that so everything's off the grid again. Now we have something called MIDI real-time properties, and basically what that does is that changes elements of the MIDI parts in real time. So the best way to explain it is just if I show you. So if I go up to event again and I go to MIDI real-time properties, okay, now so this is the MIDI real-time properties window, and as you can see there are various properties that we can change on our MIDI: quantize, duration, delay, velocity, and transpose. Now remember, you always have to check what track this is being applied to here. So I've got bass selected, so it has bass listed there in the box. You can choose to do it only to the clip that you've got selected as well if you want, which can be quite handy if you want to try things out. But we'll leave it on the track for now. So remember, if I had a long track with lots of things on it, everything I'm doing here would apply to the whole track rather than just the clip that I've got selected. So we can have a look at the quantize section. I'm going to turn that on, okay? So I've turned quantize on and I've selected 16th note, okay? So while that's turned on, we will hear this MIDI quantize the 16th note, but if we look at it, it's obviously still off the grid, but we will hear it quantized, okay? And obviously, you know, that has that one note that is so late that it's put it onto the wrong spot. So I'm just going to move that one back. Let's just try that again. I just want to find that one note. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you can tell that we're hearing that quantized, we're just not seeing it quantized. Now, we can also use these different sections to change the MIDI parts in different ways. So let's have a look at the duration. So I've turned that on, and we can do different functions to our notes, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set all of the notes to be 1/16th note long, okay? Sorry, that's 4/16th notes. Okay. change that, see, so that's now, they're all set to be 1 30-second note long. Okay, I've used the MIDI real-time properties to quantize the notes in real time, and I've also used it to set the duration of the notes in real time. But obviously what we're seeing is still the original part that I recorded. You'll notice as well here we have this little T, which basically tells us that MIDI real-time properties are being used to transform the parts. So if I actually want to commit those to the track, I can click Write to Track, and as you can see, all of the notes change in duration and quantization. So what we see now is what is actually being played. And then I quite like those short notes, so I'm going to try copying those. Yeah, that sounds a little bit more fun, I think. Okay, so that covers what we looked at in week 3. So in this second part, we've been looking at quantization and the MIDI real-time properties, input quantization as well, which is all very useful. Okay, so I'll be back next week with another screencast. Bye.